Hey everybody, we've all been there. Sometimes maybe it was us at some point, it probably was. But today I'm going to talk about how to ask a question, specifically when it comes to cameras, photography, videography, whatever. So if you are a newcomer to photography or videography, please watch this video and it'll go a long way when it comes to your experience on some of these forums. And if you're a veteran and you know all this stuff and you know how to ask a proper question, well, feel free to put this video in the comments of any bad question. I'm going to tell you in 3 easy steps, maybe a 4th secret step on how to ask a camera question properly to get the answers that you need. The first thing I'm going to tell you is not what to ask and what to include in your question, it's what to do before your question. And it's something that a lot of kind of jerks would tell you when you ask like a really basic or simple question, which is Google it. And maybe not even just Google it, but search that forum. You know, if you're on Facebook, go to the page and then type in a couple keywords from your question and see if someone has asked that question recently. And so that way, when someone says, oh, Google it, oh, someone's asked this question before, you can come back and say, well, I tried, but I didn't find the answer I wanted, or I wanted to see if anything changed, or if there was an update to the situation or something along those lines. And so first thing is to check Google, check those forums, see if you can find an answer before you default to just asking right away. Because even if you don't find the answer, it gives you, some credence to be like, well, I did try. And if you let people know that and you let people know that you put in the effort, I think they're much more likely to help you. Number 1, state your experience and camera you currently have. I see people on the, freelancer websites or the videographers or the photographers, and they just say like, what's the best lens? But we need to know your camera. Not all cameras can use all lenses. And so unless you're buying the camera and the lens new, don't just ask, what's the best? What's this? What's that? What should I use for weddings? What should I use for video? We need to know your camera. And we also, even if you're buying a camera or don't have a camera or upgrading, we need to know your experience level. Are you first starting out? Is this your first camera? Maybe you should get something like a Panasonic or a camera that's relatively easy to learn, but can really expand your use of that camera over time. Have you been in the video business for years and are moving from camcorders to DSLRs? Are you really experienced and want to level up from something like a DSLM to a cinema camera? Well, maybe it's a Blackmagic or a cinema camera. But without knowing those things, we really cannot help you. And so just saying something basic like, what's the best for this? What's the best for that? It's not enough. So yes, please, number 1, state your experience level, state the camera you are coming from or currently own, because that is going to be really important to let people know where you're coming from and how to help you best. Number 2, state your budget. So just like the last question, it's all about information. We know your experience level, you're just starting out, you've been doing this for a while, whatever, and we know the camera you've got. So now maybe you're upgrading lenses, maybe you're upgrading cameras, maybe you're switching systems, who knows? But the next thing we need to know is how much you're willing to spend, because otherwise, if you say, what's the best lens for short films? I'm going to link a $25,000 Angenieux zoom lens, or a set of like Zeiss Super Speeds, or like Cooke anamorphics that are like $50,000. Like, if we don't have a range of how much money you're willing to spend, again, we'd be there all day listing every option ever, or you're going to get some people memeing that are going to just give you the most expensive lens or drone or camera they can find. So number 2, tell us that budget. How much you got to spend? And hopefully it's a decent number, because if it's too low, people are probably going to be kind of rude to you too. And number 3, we've touched on this a little bit before, but state your intended use. We know what your experience level is and what your camera system is currently. We know your budget. You gotta say what you're gonna do. really, you just gotta say, I'm gonna be vlogging, I'm gonna be doing this, I'm gonna be doing weddings and videography. I want a good all-rounder for, whatever. Tell us what you're gonna do. Because if you say the best lens and we give you all these options, you're like, oh, I meant for real estate. Well, getting a good wide angle for vlogging in real estate is a lot different than getting a cinema lens for short films or something for photography or something like that. So that is the last qualifier you need to include in pretty much every camera question, is what you're going to be doing with that lens, because depending on what you're doing, that could be radically different options. Okay, so I just realized this video is a little bit gear and camera focused. So we've got a couple more for you here. We're going to kind of do a lightning round on this one. So here are some random, non-necessarily camera and lens based tips. Here we go. Number one, if you have an image related issue like noise or sharpness or anything like that, post a sample of the video, post an image, a JPEG or an edited RAW, whatever. We just need to see what you're talking about. What is the image related problem you've got? If you're asking for something visual, post something visual. Don't just describe it. If your camera is glitching out or you're having user interface issues, yeah, again, take a video, take your phone out, take a video, and post it. We mentioned this earlier, but avoid saying what is the best something without any other qualifiers or further descriptors. Saying what's the best something, not super useful. Asking if something is worth it, is Adobe Premiere worth it? Is this camera or lens worth it? Well, I don't know. How much money do you have? How much money is it going to make you? What do you have already? Be sure you're posting in the right group. I see a lot of people posting about how to edit portraits on the real estate videography page. They're asking Photoshop questions about a Panasonic camera, and they're just not in the right place to get the best answer. And my last piece of advice is just to kind of think logically about the question you're about to ask, or imagine what the professionals in that group will say to you. If you're going to ask about, hey, do I need a second battery? I'm about to shoot a 10-hour wedding tomorrow. It's my first paid gig and they paid me a lot of money, but is it worth it to buy a second battery? Oh, guys, I did it. I put my SD card into the washer and the dryer. It's soaking wet. Is it worth the risk to put into my camera? I've got the Sony a7S III. It's a great camera, but every time I take a video, there's a small chance an alien will come out of the center of the earth and destroy reality as we know it. Just think it through logically. Think what a professional would say. Would they risk using just one battery on an important paid shoot? Would they risk putting a waterlogged SD card in their $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 camera? Would they use a camera that could rip across the fabric of space-time and make you look really embarrassing in front of your client? Just use your own imagination. Think about what somebody who's doing this professionally would say and try to ask that question in a different way. Or if you do that, you might just think of the solution on your own. Anyway, hopefully that wraps up all the non-camera lens buying specific type of questions as well. So looking back at those tips, I really do think the golden rule is include within reason as much information as you can. Put as much effort and forethought into your question before asking it, because the more information and effort you put into your question, the better people can help you and the more likely people are to help you. And don't get discouraged. There's always going to be someone making jokes or memeing, but they were in the exact same position you're in right now. It's a very complex, convoluted industry. It's a very expensive industry, and I know we all want to get the right gear, the proper gear, the best lens, the best camera. But to avoid some of those pitfalls, to avoid the worst of the borderline cyberbullying, hopefully this video helped you understand how to ask a camera question, because again, we've all been there. We all were starting out new. I shot an entire documentary not knowing what camera settings were. I mean, I shot 64,000 6400 ISO concert videos in broad daylight with the shutter at like 1,000. Like, we've all made mistakes. We've all had those issues. We all have gaps in our knowledge. And the people that pretend like they know everything or that they don't have these same issues from time to time or in the past aren't being truthful. So get out there, ask those questions, include all that information. And again, if you are an experienced photographer or filmmaker, feel free to just put this video in the comments and walk away. I think that'll be more constructive than leaving a snarky or ironic or mean comment. And overall, just be kinder, be more understanding, and let's all help each other out, because there's going to be a day where you need that help too. And you're going to ask a bad question and how to turn tables, you know? Anyway, hopefully this video was interesting, helpful. Hopefully it helps improve camera discourse across the board on some small way. And hopefully we can all try to be a little bit better question askers, question answerers, and really build a community here, because that's what this is all about at the end of the day. It's about having fun, it's about doing what you love, and it's about not annoying me by asking what the best camera is. Although the best camera is the... I'm not saying, it's a secret. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video, put it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.